Hey, if you've ever felt like you were on the outside trying to get in, trying to look in, and then when you finally got in, you may have felt like it was too late, or you had a mindset or attitude of, I don't care anymore. This episode is for you. And why it's for you is because there's so many of us that wanted to know things, wanted to be a part of things, but we never really felt like we fit in. We didn't know the parts that it took to make a thing work. So check this out. Hey folks, Sir Charles Carey here. This episode is for what I'm calling smart people. And I'm not trying to suggest that people in the world are not smart or that only a certain group is smart, but I do feel that there's a perception that we have overall that if you're in a certain class or status, that you have something head and shoulders over other people. And in some instances, that may be true, but as a rule, I don't think it's true. I know I remember learning some time ago that many of the kids in school that were A students, now they work for the C students. And it seems to be somewhat true when you think about big business, when you think about multi level marketing, when you think about different scenarios of trends that took off but people didn't know whether the trend would take off. And I'm I guess like a lot of people, we see the popular people and it comes across to us like the popular people are the smart ones. The popular people are the intelligent ones. I'm not again suggesting that they don't know anything, but what I'm suggesting is they are the influencers. And because they're readily seen or regularly seen, we tend to go with what they say. We lean into what they do. We follow behind their ever essence or their ever what's the effervescence? Yeah, or the effervescence of their presence, right? So whatever they're in tech, arts or whatever, because they're so out there, we just watch them and listen to them. And I get it, you know. And to some degree, do we all want a bit of that influence? Absolutely, but it just depends. Is your motive pure? Are your intentions honest? That makes a difference. And a lot of times we don't find out things until later. We put these people on the pedestal, and then when they fall, we go, "Oh, I didn't know he was like this." Well, we bought into and we drank the Kool-Aid. Okay, let's call a thing a thing. But I really, I do understand. I was watching on I think it was a YouTube channel, the impersonator and comedian Godfrey. He was talking about how a Marvel creator or co-owner Stan Lee used things from reality to create the comic books, like Black Panther and Superman. He was saying that he had an opportunity of hanging out with Stan Lee, and Stan Lee shared a lot of things about how, for instance, Blade, the Wesley Snipes character, the Blade franchise saved Marvel back in the day. He was also sharing how Stan Lee used um, Egyptian history for Black Panther and just different characters, and that's like wow, to think that in the '60s that they were privy to it and smart enough to capitalize on it. I think it speaks a lot about their mindset, and it also speaks a lot about what I talk about, the importance of being quiet. If you have ever heard me talk about that, I think many times because the world is so noisy, we miss so many things. And you may realize that I even talk about movies a lot in my keynotes in my workshops. Well, one, because it's relatable, and two is because some of the stories that I've referenced with real life, just like the example I gave about Stan Lee taking Ethiopian or African history and turning it into a fable or a comic book, it's the same thing. So if I'm talking about something that's real, well, excuse me, if I'm talking about a character in a um, in my workshops, and it's based on something we've seen a lot. We've been inundated or overwhelmed in some cases about this superhero or that superhero. Well, there's some things that you can identify with, and as the saying goes, most fiction is drawn from some fact or some form of reality, and that's just, it's just what it is. And I even know for myself, I'm very fortunate that when I came up in school in New York, we have a very loving group. Our I guess our influences with one another seem to be very genuine, and to this day, many years after graduating high school, we still keep in touch pretty much on a daily basis. Not the entire graduating class, but a good portion of us. We keep in touch with updates, spurts, passings, milestones of various types. And, I think that's very positive because it's great to know that you're still in the race. It's good to know that people you started out with in life, they are still doing what they're doing, and we celebrate one another. But if it had not been for certain things that I did or that I was capable of, I'll say it that way, I might not have been in the loop because I was a kid that was very unsure of himself. And as it relates to business, think about it. Many people don't start business because they're unsure if they can do it. They're concerned about what people think. They have second and third thoughts about, is it realistic, where really their fears are taking over them. So back to me in school, outside of school, I was singing in the choir, and I had aspirations of being this music artist and stuff like that. And when my high school friends caught wind that I could sing, and we would sing in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria, or at different shows, and I was able to participate, I became cool or cooler, right? Of course, I had the big afro, so that was cool. But I became really cooler because, like, oh wow, he's into music. And had I not done that, I don't think I would have been as cooler, maybe with some people, but not with everybody. But I love my high school friends, and we keep it real, and I've kept it real for a very long time. My point of sharing that example or that story is the fact that it's almost the same thing with us as adults. You figure because you're an adult, now you can make solid decisions and walk through life or run through life pretty much solid on who you are and knowing what you can do. But no, in many cases, we're still kids. We're just in grown up bodies. The same personality is a part of that person. And, I wanted to share this with you because we're coming up on a new time in life. And some of us are still behind the eight ball. And some of us don't realize that, yeah, you can still do something about your set of circumstances. And I take myself as the prime example. And it's not that I'm so special, and definitely not that I'm so smart, and not that I'm better than anyone by no stretch of the imagination. But because I know there's some deep seated feelings and desires and wishes that I've always wanted to aspire to, that's exactly what I'm doing and exactly what I've done. I've allowed those things. I'll put it like this, I never put those things to bed. And I've allowed those things to be a part of my active thought process, my imagination. My desires for these things has never died. And yes, I've done them and still do them on a high level, but only because I never buried them. I never killed them. I never put them to the side. And yes, I'm talking about being an author. Yes, I'm talking about being a keynote speaker and workshop facilitator. Yes, I'm talking about putting on events. Yes, I'm also talking about being a songwriter. And I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm just trying to impress upon you that at this age and stage in my life, if I'm interested and I'm actually doing and finding out ways of doing all the things that I just mentioned, What can you not do? And for those of us that do move forward or try to move forward, but we kind of like have a half-hearted approach at it, let's keep it real. Why does those endeavors, those ventures, why do they not come through the way you want? Because I'm doing this workshop called 5 Reasons Your Dreams Never See the Light of Day. And I want to highly recommend and highly encourage you. Jump on, it's a free webinar. You may get re inspired with something deep down inside of you that you did not believe that you could possibly do. And I know that it's possible to do these things because I'm actually doing them. I know many of my current adult colleagues, associates, acquaintances, and in some cases, friends are active entrepreneurs, meaning, we're still doing this thing just as if we were kids collecting bottles or delivering newspapers to people, or it was a part time job after school. We're still actively engaged in doing some of the things that we did as kids, but on a higher level, more professional, whether it's being a speaker, being an author, those different things that we are currently doing, we're doing them because we want to. And many of us pull on and rely on one another to stay encouraged. And you can do the same thing. There's nothing different about you because there's nothing so smart about us that we're the only ones that can do this. And again, I highly recommend jump on this webinar called 5 Reasons Your Dreams Never See the Light of Day. I'll put the information in the feed, but I think it's really important that you, see if I could, is it on here somewhere? I think it's really important that you um, jump on, at least get the information, and then you decide what's for you is for you, and what's not is not, no matter how you slice it. Yeah, you definitely got to radiate the rain and change the game, but that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about getting the information. Let's see, where is it? Can I find out? What I'll do is after this is posted, I'll put it in the feed so that you can, tap in and get the information. It's going to be at 11 a.m. on Saturday, Eastern Standard. You can't miss it. It'll be and has been all over social media. And oh, you know what? Maybe there is um, a comment box or something that I could drop it in. But I'll definitely put it in the feed after um, we log off because I think it's important that you realize you still have life to live. And a lot of people, they just simply give up. They say stuff like, "Oh, I'm too old for this," or "I'm retired," and nothing can be further from the truth. Most smart people, honestly, they at least do their due diligence and look into things so that they know versus forming an opinion without the practical experience. So, I'm not going to hold you too long. I just wanted to share that with you. And as I said, I'll put the link down below under the caption. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, so we can talk about 5 reasons your dreams never see the light of day. And, mentioning that, I think it was on Stars, this show about this girl who she was treated badly as a kid. She was never made to fit in. She was bullied. And even though I'm not suggesting this, I'm just telling you about a show. This has nothing to do with my life. So she killed somebody accidentally, but she did. And it's part of the story on the Stars program. And then she kind of started feeling bold because she's lashing out for all the years of neglect, all the years of abuse. And she went on to do the same thing again with another person. And when it was all said and done, it appears that she found her voice. And my point to you is, will you ever find your voice? And you can't find your voice when you've retired mentally and spiritually. So I'll see you later. And Thanks for giving me and sharing with me your time. And please, by all means, post your comments. I want to hear your comments. Yeah, let's talk about it. Radiate the brain, change the game. You know how it goes.